Hello everyone and welcome to my coloring corner. Excuse me, I suddenly have a frog in my throat. Excuse me. Today is Topic Tuesday, and today we are going to talk about how to repair a background that you didn't like. So last Tuesday we did a Inktense background using the remnants of the Inktense. The background itself, the Inktense itself, did what I wanted it to do. However, it didn't do what I wanted, what I liked. So it did what I wanted it to do, but after it dried and after, I looked at it for a little while, I really didn't like it. I hated it. So what I have done is I have cut out the part that I liked, and I will be creating a new background for it. So I have gently and very carefully taken an X-Acto knife and trimmed off the parts I didn't like, except for this part here because it is a part of the leaf and I have to leave it. So what I will be doing is I will be creating a background for it, and we will be putting this on the background so that we can make it prettier because I didn't like it. I was so depressed. It was horrible. And it's like, but I love the vase. I did so good on the vase, and then I messed up on the background. And everybody goes through this, and it is a very normal thing. So what we're going to be using today, sticking with our water medium type stuff, is we're going to be using the King Art gel sticks. These are a water activated crayon. You can use them dry, but you can also use them wet. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually use them dry. We're going to put them down on the paper, use a stencil, put in a cool design, and then we're going to spritz it with some water, and we're going to let it sit and let those water beads soak in and create a background type look. So I'm going to grab a blue. I've got my palette here and I've got my wonderful gel sticks here. So I'm going to grab, I think, this light blue here. What's this one? One of these light blues. Yeah, sky blue will do. Sky blue works perfectly for what I wanted. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover the whole sheet in sky blue, and then we're going to be adding this stencil. And we'll do the stencil in a different color, like a gold, a metallic gold. Then we will spritz it, and yeah, we'll use metallic gold, I think. Got so many different wonderful colors. Yeah, I think we'll use metallic gold, and we'll spritz it, and then we will let it sit until the water absorbs a little bit, and I will dab it. Oh, I forgot to grab the paper towel. 1 second. Sorry about that, guys. Completely forgot I needed a piece of paper towel. So what you use the paper towel for is when you spritz it, you're going to get little beads of water. And if you let them soak in, fine, but it takes longer. So you let it soak in for a little bit until it gives you that bubbly kind of effect, and then you just gently dab it up. So that's what the paper towel's for. All right, and I have my spritzer bottle of water right here. And I think we're ready to go. I've got my palette and I've got my brush. Now I'm just going to use a big brush because what we're going to do is we're going to take this big brush and we're going to cover the entire sheet of paper. So we're going to move the stencil out of the way, and we're going to take our sky blue and we're going to throw it on the palette as much as we can. because this is a huge area. And when you're doing a really large area like this, the gel crayons or the pan pastels or the pastel chalks, things like that, are the best things because they cover a lot really quick. So I'm just breaking down that gel crayon, any little bits that are left over, and then we're just going to throw it all over here. And this is a thirsty brush, and it picked up a lot of it, and it's decided that it wants to hold on to it. So I'm going to put more on. And you just keep on layering on until you have the depth that you want. And as you layer it on, it gets a little bit thicker or a little bit thinner. And you just continue to put that on until you're at the satisfactory level that you want it to be. Make sense? I hope so. I hope everybody had a wonderful Valentine's Day yesterday and enjoyed the Art Matters video. I know it's not for everybody, but it's something that I enjoy doing, and I really, really enjoy both Neil Gaiman and Chris Riddell's work. So I know this is the boring part. You can barely see it, but it is there, I promise. And so is the issues with the paper. I am using the Nina cardstock for this. And I might want to go with maybe a little bit darker of a blue. I thought this was going to be dark enough, but I think it might be a little bit light. But we'll see after we get a couple of layers on. And after we get the stencil on. Because the gold for the stencil may stand out a little bit better against the lighter pale color. I'm just going to fill that. See, I am filling the brush. There is color going on here, I promise. It is very light though. I think I might have to use a darker blue. No, it's building up. Okay. Okay, well, as long as it's building up. I was thinking, my goodness, I use an entire crayon just to cover this one page. But it is building up, which is good. So tomorrow we will be continuing with our sweet shop. I did finish the cake. However, I didn't do it in watercolor. I did do it in marker on my own time. I wanted to do that before Valentine's Day, so I did finish it up on my own time. But we will be finishing the sweet shop. And then we will be getting into Monya March next month, celebrating Monya Gates. And she will be our featured artist of the month next month because it's Monya March. And Monya March is something that I do believe happens every year by certain YouTubers. It is a hashtag that does happen every year. So can't remember whose hashtag it is, but I like it. I'm not going to steal it, but I do like it. I am going to participate in it, though. And maybe maybe Monya will be generous enough to come and say hello. I will have to ask her. She is a very lovely lady. All right. So we're getting a good layer of this blue on there. Once again, just filled it up. I thought about doing this process first, but I wanted to show you how long and how much work it does take to get to this point. Now, it's a lot easier than, say, coloring it or painting it. Absolutely. But there is a buildup of color. In order to get to the color that you want it to be, you do have to build that color up. And try not to wrinkle your page. Typically, I would have it taped to the board in case that happens, but unfortunately my board is being used. I have the Sweet Shop taped to it right now because that was a watercolor and I didn't want it to wrinkle. Didn't want it to peel up, curl up. Okay, so just another layer. Trying to make sure I get into the whole areas without causing any wrinkling. Not too concerned about my fingers being on it or anything like that because we are going to spritz it, so it's going to get little, but I am trying to make sure that I get more on the edges because the center is where the picture is going to be, so it's really going to be covered up. So and try to get more on the edges than the center. There we go. Now I gotta get more on this bottom edge here, I think. Trying to make it fairly even, but look like it's applied to the paper, not a part of the paper. There we go. Okay, so there is our blue part. And rub this off. It's pretty clean. So we've got our blue part down. And you can't see it very well because it is a light blue. But if I put this against it, you'll be able to see it a little bit better. So as you can see, there is a light blue on there. Now we're going to take our stencil here, and I'm going to tip you up just a little bit so you can see the bottom of it. And then we're going to take a smaller brush, and we're going to use a smaller brush to push that gold in. I'm just going to make sure I line it up perfectly here. And then we're going to take our gold gel stick and put it down on the palette. I'm doing this nice and thick because there's different little grooves there. And get a good amount on the brush, breaking up whatever little chunks. And then we're going to start on the edge. Try not to lift it up too much. I may have this upside down because I can feel it grabbing. Yeah, I can feel it grabbing, so I think I have the stencil upside down. Try not to move it off of your area there. Now you can tape these down. I have found that when I tape them down, I have issues lifting them back up. But there is a certain direction that you need to put these down with because the little edges won't catch your brush. And I have it upside down. So I'm going to just have to deal with it catching my brush. I just have to remember that it's going to catch my brush. And be gentle with it. And still try to get it lined up. I'm going to move down. And move down again. And hopefully the different little movements aren't going to make it look too goofy. Just going to hold down this center area because it does seem to be lifting up a little bit. Alright, now we're going to try not to move it and get the last bit of this gold up and do this last little area. Okay, so as you can see, it's all the way down there. Now I'm not too concerned about the edges because this is going to go over top of the edges. Yeah, see, I should have used that side. Okay. Now I'm going to take my paper towel. I'm going to see if I can make sure that that isn't going to transfer if I flip it over. So I'm just wiping away any excess so that when I flip it over, because I want to use the right side, it doesn't transfer the color. And it might transfer a little bit of it, but it's not going to transfer a lot of it. Now this part here, I'm only going to do half of it because I don't want to go over the other side. So I'm just going to do this part. So I'm just putting down some more gold. And then pick it up. And yeah, that's better. So as you can see, there's a lot less catching by using this other side. So there is a one side that you should use comparative to the other. Basically, when you before you start your project, run your brush over your stencil, and if it catches, flip it over. I didn't do that. That was my fault because I thought I had it flipped over to the right side, but when I moved it, I must have flipped it over. There's always a little bit of lifting, especially with gel crayons, so don't worry too much about that. But for the side issues of putting it on the right side, you shouldn't have too many issues with that. Okay, so this one here, we're going to do the full one like this one, and then on the other side, we'll do the half one. And we're just going to cover the whole thing with a good layer of the gold over top of the blue. And like I said, the center areas I'm not overly worried about because of the fact that the picture itself is going to cover those areas. But if I don't put it down, it's not going to look right. If you know what I mean. Alright, so I'm just going to make sure this is all the way on the page. Get those edges first. The great thing about gel crayon, if you find that you've got too intense in one area or you don't like the way that it's laid down in one area, for the first little while you can just take a eraser and lift it up. You're not committed at this point. Gel crayon does erase very, very nicely. Okay, so I'm just going to lift that. Get some more gold. Trying not to move it too much with my fingers. I'm just getting as much of that gold into those crevices as possible here. There we go. And then once again, over onto this side, and we're only going to do half. Make sure it gets all the way up into the corner there. And just a little bit more. And this is extremely washable. You can just stick this in the sink and all of the gel crayon will come off of it. Just like your palette and your brush and everything else. You just a little bit of soapy water and it just washes right off. Alright, now I'm going to turn the page so that I'm not working in the right direction for the stencil and not lifting things up. I'm just going to hold this down here so I can get into this corner. And I'm just doing half of it. So I'm just trying to make sure that I'm getting enough of it on there for the side that I want without shifting it too much. Okay, so and there we have it. As you can see, we've got half on this side, half on this side, and a full one on each corner. Kitty corner to each other, catty corner. All right, so there is our stenciling area. Now I do have a bit of an overlap here that I don't like. So I'm just going to take my rubber, where is it? This one. I'm going to take my bigger eraser here and I'm just going to very, very gently pick it up. And hopefully it'll pick it up, but I think my eraser was dirty. I think this eraser doesn't like that stuff. That's okay. I'll use a different one. Not too concerned about it because it is where the vase is going to be, so I'm not worried about it. Let's see. Yeah, that's better. So the vase itself isn't going to be there, so I do want to erase that. But I didn't want to erase the blue, so let's put a little touch of blue there. And we'll rub it around. There we go. Not too concerned about it because we are going to spritz it. So now we're going to spritz it. And hopefully this will do what I want it to do. Other than warp the paper. Now we're going to give it a little bit of time. And of course it's warping the paper, but that's alright. I'll run it under the iron afterward. So we'll give it some time to do what I want it to. And we'll just dab it up a little. I think I may have not put enough heavier drops. This may not work the way I want it to. But it'll work somewhat. Just gotta spritz it. And as you can see here, where the water is pooling a little bit, you get that. There we go. There. Then we'll take our hot gun and we'll dry it out. Okay. So basically what I'm doing right now is I'm just heating the back of it, drying the back of it, and removing that little bit of a curl if I can. Okay, so there's a bit of a curl, but that's fine. Once we get this completely dry, it's not dry yet. So what we're going to end up doing afterwards, once it's dry, and I will run the iron over it to flatten it. But what you do is you take some either tape or folded squares of paper and glue them to the back or tape them to the back of your vase. When it's lifted up off the paper, it will give you that shadow um, for the vase, like that. And it looks really cool. So I will continue this after this is dry. It's still damp. It's not soaking wet, so it will dry. I will run the hot iron over it and flatten it out, and then I will put this on it. Now you can also use something that a lot of crafters use, a lot of card makers use, and they're little foam squares that lift the picture off the page. I thought I had some. I can't find them. So I will do the next best thing and I will create my own by just folding some paper. All right, guys, that is the topic of this week. How do you repair a background you don't like? There are several different ways to do this. This is one of those ways of cutting out the picture that the central picture that you like and creating a new background. Another way of doing this, of course, would be to take the picture that you don't like the background on, and when in doubt, black it out. Take a black acrylic paint or a black acrylic marker and just cover the entire thing except for the part that you like. And then you can add different things to that background. I thought about doing that myself. Unfortunately, the paper that I was working with, because I was trying to fix it, ended up getting too thin with the water. So I had to scrap that idea. Otherwise, I would have had a very holy paper. All right, guys. So I will fix this. I will continue it, and I will post a wonderful picture of it. I hope you all have enjoyed the video, at least learned something new. If not, that's okay too. All right, guys, until next time, please leave me a comment below in the comment section on how you repair your backgrounds you don't like. Till tomorrow, when we are live at 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time in the afternoon, always remember to be kind to one another, relax, color, and stay safe. Until next time, guys, bye-bye for now.